Hello there, math fans. Dr. Andy Lovelace. For a long time, when I teach double integrals, I talk about mowing the lawn. And so I've always meant to make this video where I actually showed myself mowing the lawn. The idea is we'd like to describe a region. We'd like to measure something that's happening over a region. And that requires we touch every blade of grass, meaning we get to every single point in the region so that we can evaluate the function there or add up the values or compute the volume or get the center of mass, whatever it is. So a big theme is how do we describe every point in a region? Or in other words, how do we walk the entire yard? And you have experience with this. Here's how I do it on my lawn, right? You'd like to not leave any uncut grass. So you walk one strip, you turn, you do the next strip, and you just keep going. So this day I mowed the lawn this way, basically like in terms of X. If this is our, going up and down like this. Okay, so I always give this description. Let's get rid of that fool. Of mowing the lawn. So I thought I would just go through this. Here's a region inside the circle of radius 3. And I'm going to describe it in 3 ways. So I could describe it in terms of X. If I'm describing it in terms of X, I'm going to mow the lawn this way. I'm going to walk everywhere this way, just like I was in that lawn mowing video, but I have to give a description. Now, if this is the circle of radius 3, then that means I want to go to the edge of the circle. So I want to start at 0 and go to the edge of the circle. And I just made up this region. So I'd like to say, for any given x value between -3 and 3, I want to go from this edge to the other edge. Well, the bottom edge is y equals 0, and the top edge is the square root of 9 minus x squared from rearranging. And so when we go to set up a double integral over that region of whatever our function is, something we're trying to measure, then we can say -3 to 3, and this goes 0 to the square root of 9 minus x squared. That's one way to mow the lawn. And I like to say we mowed the lawn in terms of x. So I've prepared a little visual for this. Here it is. And so what I'm about to do is mow the lawn. So here I am. We're going to see in just a moment. I'm going to roll this back, and I'm going to show you something. So here we go. So here I am prepared to mow the lawn. For some reason, I'm going to walk backwards when I mow. And now I've set up myself in parallel. I wish I could do it this way. I'm going to mow all those strips at the same time. So I'm going to mow like this. I forgot to turn on the lawnmower. Let's turn on the lawnmower and let's mow these strips. That's what we're doing. We're trying to touch every blade of grass. I've just shown several spaced out ones. And eventually I'd like to plug in the whole region. That's what's happening in this double integral. Is I'm computing that. I'm mowing the lawn that way. When we're actually doing it all the points, we're doing more and more subdivisions until we've mowed it all. There we go. That's the in terms of x version. All right. So what about if I want to do it in terms of y? What if one day I decided I was going to mow the yard this way? Major League Baseball, they do this all the time. They mow the outfield in different ways. Well, then I'm doing it in terms of y. So for a given y, I'm trying to think about what the pattern is, where I turn my mower on and off, as opposed to this one where we were doing the pattern this way. Here we're doing the pattern this way. That's perfectly fine. But if you're talking about that, y is only going to be from 0 to 3. That's the biggest and smallest y can be. And based off of y, we're going to be between the left half circle and the right half circle. So the bounds end up being this. The integral from 0 to 3. The left half circle, so it's negative the square root of 9 minus y squared. And the square root of 9 minus y squared. Turns out this mows the lawn in a different way. So let me show what that looks like. So I've got that prepared here. Here's that same lawn. My lawn doesn't quite look like that, but it's sort of that shape. And let's do in terms of Y now. Oops, I've already mowed the yard there. Let's go back to the beginning here. Okay, so there I've got the lawnmower ready, but this time I've lined up in terms of Y, and I'm going to mow across there between the two sides. All right, let's let it go. There we go. I'm mowing the yard that way. So I'm between the two circles. You can see how that's different than the case where you were going from 0 up to the edge of the circle. Here I'm between the two half circles. That's what's happening. It's nothing more complicated than that. That is the idea. So I just wanted to say that. And again, I set it up so I could have fewer or more, how fine I want to do it. And then we have a third way. So the third way is we can mow the lawn radially, we might say, or in terms of polar. And there we have to understand a little bit about angles. This is angle 0. This is angle pi. And for any given angle, I'm going to mow straight out. That will also touch every blade of grass. That does mean you're going to mow some grass more often in here. So it messes up the geometry a little bit, but there's a fix for that. Okay, so we basically say for every angle from 0 to pi, I would like to mow out from 0 to 3. The adjustment we have to make for the change in geometry and the fact that you're going to mow some grass more than once, all that stuff near the origin, is accounted for by replacing x with r cosine of theta, replacing y with r sine of theta, and then talking like a pirate, ardy theta. That's that geometry we talked about briefly in class relating to that. But the goal here is just to show the mowing of the yard. So now let's mow the yard a different way. Let's mow it radially and polar. So there's a few strips I've shown there. Let's go back. Where did the lawnmower guy go? Let's put him in there. There I am. I'm ready to mow the lawn. There's only 4 of me for this job, and we're going to go radially. And so I'm going to show you several examples of that. So here we go, mowing the yard. That's the polar way. I'm going to stop when I get to 3. I'm only going to do it for those angles between 0 and pi, and I've just shown you a few examples. If I did more subdivisions, I would have more strips like this. That's what we're doing. Those are the 3 ways we're going to mow the yard. All right, hope you found that interesting.